Anybody still needs more? Because we can go on if you'd like to. Well, I hope you feel like she's with us now. Because that's how she always was with us. So, excuse me?
You can use the microphone so you can hear you.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to have to use a microphone, guys, because they're Zooming this and they won't hear me off of Zoom. Hello, Zoom. We're here with you live now. For those who may not have heard, especially on the camera, I am Wayne Palmer. I'm Christy's husband. And the family's asked me to conduct in a light way tonight and to keep this party moving forward. So we appreciate you all being here. We'd like to recognize all the family members who are here. Some have come from great distance. Some are not in good health. And we especially appreciate those of you who aren't feeling well to make the sacrifice and the effort to be here. We know it takes quite an effort. Their mother herself checked out of her rehab center after knee surgery a couple of weeks ago to be here. So, Mom, we're glad to have you with us, and Dad as well. We'd like to welcome the executive team of Sweet Candy Company and their staff, and many of whom are with us tonight. Aside from the family, you people were the most important people in Vicki's life. She spent maybe more time with you than she did with us. All of the hours counted up, and we so appreciate all that you did for her, the opportunities you gave her, the responsibility you gave her, the recognition that you gave to her over the years, and the way that she blossomed under your leadership. So we just love having you here with us tonight. Thank you. We're going to start the program, and it will be a little bit structured here on the front end, and then get ready because it's going to be all about you. And I wouldn't want to start calling names. You know, it's just, we hope you'll feel very, very comfortable in sharing your memories, however brief and however emotional you might get in the process of doing that. We're going to start by having Andy, Vicki's husband, give a tribute to Vicki, his wife. After which, Vicki's three siblings, Jim and Cindy and Christy, will give a life sketch. Then we will hear from whomever Sweet Candy Company has designated to speak tonight, any and all of you, are going to give a tribute to Vicki as their friend and professionally. We will go to that point, and then we'll open it up for group sharing, okay? Andy?
I knew everybody here has met Vicki, passed by her, how a wonderful person she was. But I'd like to share a few thoughts on how I met her. She was 17 years old when our paths crossed. My best friends were best friends with her. Vicki's best friends. And we actually just didn't really know each other back then. She was 17 when I actually saw her. And my friends, they knew that she liked me. And then her friends knew I liked her. So in between 17 years old and 19 years old, we were dating. And when she turned 19 is when we got engaged. 5 years engagement. And we got married after that, and we've been married for 35 years. So I've been with that beautiful soul for 40 years. And I miss her very much. She was a very strong, determined woman. She was very bold. And even at work, she was like that. But people at work don't realize I already knew that because she was like that at our house. And it was wonderful to see people, friends, family, neighbors actually see her as she was. She was a rising star in the candy business, and I saw it. And I appreciate the Sweet Candy family for taking good care of her. Now, she carried a lot of different traits with her. She was outgoing, very athletic, and that's what I loved about her. Man, she played softball. Wow. She played better than some of the guys I played with. And I was really, really loved her. She was not only athletic, she was smart, very confident, and she was a very intelligent woman. She had everything going for her. She was my partner, my best friend, and my wife. She was my soulmate. And it's very difficult to find a unique woman like that in this day and age. Trust me, nothing compared to her in my eyes. And when we got married, I knew this woman was a leader right off the bat because she was telling me where to go, what to do. And if I come up and confronted her, she would say, no, let's talk about it. And it was always a debate between her and I. And that's how it was growing up with this beautiful woman. She was just strong. And in time, she took care of me. And I took care of her. But it's difficult to see your better half not being here anymore. She was my life. She was my life. And some of us know that she wasn't always a taker. She gave her best to each and every one that came around her because she was that kind of person. She would make people shine, whoever was with her, because she was that kind of person. She not only gave a lot to the Sweet family, but she also gave a lot to her friends, neighbors, and especially her family. Her family was number one. She loved every one of them. But one thing about her is she was also kind, very caring, and very compassionate at times. And I got to see her in all her traits, all her personality. She grew up to be a wonderful, beautiful soul that we see right here. And it's sorrow that she left us too soon. So I'd like to pay tribute to my wife, Vicki. I'm the only one in the family that called her Victoria. Nobody else ever did. And the family always asked, why do you call her Vicki? Her name is Vicki. Because Victoria is a beautiful name. So it's pretty difficult to let a beautiful soul like this go. But I want to thank everybody for coming and sharing a few thoughts. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out as a representative of our families. Appreciate y'all coming to show your love for our sister. My name is Jim, if you don't know me. This is my sister Cindy, my sister Christy. We just want to kind of tell you a little bit about our lives growing up in a small town. We grew up in a small rural town, Mitchellville, Iowa, population 1,000. In this town, there wasn't a lot to do, so you had to kind of create your own fun. So I remember us spending hours all day riding around in rural dirt roads all day long, just passing the time. It was hot and humid in Iowa, and you sweat. I was really happy when we moved to Utah because it's dry. But at night, one beautiful thing about Iowa was they had lightning bugs. That's what we called them. You guys call them fireflies. But we would chase them around, and when you'd finally catch them, you would stress, but you would take them and tear them off and put them on your finger, and they would glow. It'd be like a ring. When you were a kid, that was great stuff. Well, like I said, there wasn't a lot to do, and back in those days, we had a color TV and 3 channels you could watch on TV. ABC, CBS, NBC. And we used to watch Donnie and Marie's show. It was found here in Utah. And we loved it. And also there were beauty pageants. And my sisters and I loved watching the beauty of these girls in these pageants. And so in these pageants, to entertain ourselves, we would recreate these beauty pageants. And when my parents were gone and we were home alone, my sisters would make me the judge of the beauty pageants. So I get to choose which of my 3 sisters was going to be the most beautiful and the most talented. So they would rush off to my mom's closet, where they would go through the closet to find all of my mom's finest clothes and jewelry. And yes, even her big oversized pumps, they were young. And Vicki, even back then, always had a sense of style. And she had just beauty. She knew how to put a wardrobe together. So, needless to say, she won a lot of the beauty contests. She got the crown. And then there was my dad. He was the police chief in this small town. And he hired a new patrol officer. And this patrol officer just happened to be a black belt in karate. And so he taught my dad some of these martial arts moves. And over a few months, my dad would then teach us, Vicki. And after a few months of this training, the new techniques that we learned, Vicki was a very eager and quick student. And she tested some of her new skills on me. So Dad had to quickly invoke a family rule that was no karate on the family. So not long after that, I got into a scuffle with a couple of boys down the road, And of course, they were both larger than me. At least that's how I remember it. But unbeknownst to me, my mom and dad were watching this standoff play out through the living room window. And just then, Vicki arrived home from school and saw them both out staring at the window and asked what they were looking at. And they said, "Looks like your brother's in a fight with these two boys." And Vicki, upon hearing that, dropped her books, flew out the door, full speed. She didn't waste any time talking to these boys, trying to de-escalate the situation. She instead gave them a very short lesson in karate. As I remember, feet were flying, and before I knew it, these two boys were both lying on the ground and wanted no more of Vicki's lessons. Then she asked if I was okay. I remember putting her arm around me. And we both walked confidently back home in our victory. Back at our house, both of our parents congratulated us and told us how proud they were.
Okay. So our next move with the family was to Benyon, Utah, when Vicki was in 9th grade. She made friends quickly and became very popular in her class. It was while living in Benyon that she really began our family tradition of playing board games and developing the funniest banter amongst each of us after each game. She definitely had a great sense of humor, and that made it so much fun to play with her even when we lost. This is also a time in our life when she took a bigger role watching over us while both of our parents worked. And let me just tell you, if we ever acted up, she would immediately have us stand in a corner with our nose touching the wall. And we'd cry when we cried, "But why?" And she would simply say, "Because I said so." And that was the end of that. In high school, Vicki was given her own telephone line because she was so popular that my parents had to provide it just so they could use it. I remember she had a monthly subscription to both Glamour and Cosmopolitan magazines, which really opened her eyes to the world of fashion, beauty, and style, and that was noticed and admired by everyone, especially me. Vicki was known for her independence, spontaneity, and free spirit. A perfect example of this is one night while working at her first job at a local Arctic Circle, handling the drive-thru customers, a couple of her friends pulled up in a red convertible to get some food, and they encouraged her to leave work and join them for a night of summertime fun. Well, she thought about it, and she did it. She jumped through that drive-thru window into that convertible, and they were off. The girl was always having fun.
Like Andy mentioned, he met Vicki when she was 17, 18 years old and just getting out of high school. We had friends in common, but didn't start dating right off. Once they began going out, they soon fell in love and have been together, like he said, for over 40 years. They have traveled the world together and have been to many exotic places. Some of their favorite memories were the years they spent boating at Lake Powell with the Negrettes and many of their lifelong friends. She loved Andy's family, and they loved her. They too kept the vigil with us in praying for her and hoping for a miracle. Even the family members that lived outside of Utah flew in to see her and called regularly to get updates. Many of you know what a fantastic cook Vicki was. Cooking is how she expressed her love for all of us. She made hostessing a party look effortless. It didn't matter if it was a simple barbecue in her backyard, a baby shower, or a huge Thanksgiving dinner. It was planned out, executed perfectly, ready on time, and delicious. We would all fuss over how great the food was and how great the party was, and she'd simply say, "Ah, it's no big deal, so easy." Vicki leaves behind a legacy of love, of true friendship and loyalty. She had a quiet strength, yet powerful presence about her. We knew she had our backs. We were all for one, and one for all. Vicki had a decisive approach to life. To Vic, it was black and white and very little gray. You always knew exactly where you stood with her. She was a loyal friend and confidant. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. She was a leader in our family. She was someone I tried very hard to emulate when I was young. There was a fun and crazy side to her. She could be a goofball. When playing in the pool, she and Brooke choreographed a whole synchronized swimming routine that we laughed about for years. Vicki would start a game of follow the leader off her diving board, starting with a cartwheel, and then adding new stunts as she went along to make each trip off the board a little bit more challenging. The kids loved it. When they saw their Aunt Vic was a kid at heart too, she even enrolled Andy into doing cannonballs and backflips. So the bonds with her nieces and nephews were formed that would last forever. One of her favorite things was Chinese fire drills. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's where you go to a red light, you stop, you jump out, you go around the car, and you have to get back in before the light turns green. The girls totally love that. When the kids were small, we had a great tradition of going to Discovery Zone after Friday night family dinners. And Vicki loved chasing all the little kids and playing tag with them through the tunnels. It was so much fun. Such a great tradition and great memories. Most of Vicki's service was invisible. Few people will ever know how much she loved our parents and the great lengths she went to care for them. She took great satisfaction in seeing to their needs as they got older. There's nothing she wouldn't do for them. If they had a need, she took care of it. Vicki would never tell you this herself. She gave my mom and dad $100 for every decade of their age. So on my dad's 81st birthday, she would get $810, or he would get $810. And on Christmas, this past year, she quietly slipped each of them $1,000 in their cards, hoping that no one would even notice. But we had no way of knowing that that would be our very last Christmas with her. Whenever there's a crisis in the family, it was Vicki who took charge, organized the response, and gave everyone instructions. Everything was easier with Vic involved, especially the tough times. She was a powerhouse and a force to be reckoned with. She was fiercely loyal and completely devoted to our family. I wish I could tell you how much she did for each of us. I would love to list each act of kindness one by one so you could just get a small glimpse of how she showed up for our family. She never wanted recognition, she didn't want to talk about it, and she surely wasn't keeping score. It was always just a pure outflow of her love and support. I've known Vicki obviously my entire life, and I've only seen her cry twice in all those years. The first time I saw her cry is when we almost lost our mother to pneumonia. And the paramedics were there, and they were trying to keep her going. And she ran down the hall, dropped to her knees, and wept. The second time was at the hospital after her second stroke. She was still doing relatively well. She seemed to be understanding what we were trying to say. And although she couldn't communicate, we started to kind of understand that her short yeses, yes, was a true yes, and a yes really meant no. So I told Vicki, I said, Vicki, so many people love you. So many people are praying for you. Then I started naming every single person that came to see her in the hospital. I named them one by one. Some of you visited every week. Some of you every 2 weeks. Some of you once a month. And others of you called and texted regularly to see how she was doing and to let her know that you were thinking of her. I will never forget watching the tears roll down her face. And I said, Vicki, do you get it? Do you understand how many people love you? She said, yes. Yes. She got it. She understood. So on behalf of Andy, the Negrettes, And our entire family, we thank you for coming, and we thank you for celebrating her life. And then Vicki, if you're listening, we love you, we miss you, and we will never forget you. You will live on in our hearts. And this song is for you.
We love you, Vic.
I'd like to welcome the sweet team up in whatever order that they choose to address us today. Thank you. Hi, my name is Rick, and I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about Vicki's other family and her importance to Sweet Cane Company. Most of you know that her career was Sweet Cane Company, 4 years, which is remarkable. I'm joined today by a dozen of the administrative team that had pretty good tenure as well. Tony Sweet asked me to come join the company 20 years ago. I feel like I've been there forever, and then I go to work every day knowing I'm still the new guy. But Vicki was there 40 years, and I'll go into a little bit of her accomplishments in a second, but we are a family. There's 50, 60 hours a week where you show up and you can trust on continuity and compassion
And the team is a team. And Vicki was the cornerstone of all of that. And on a Thursday in early January, when Vicki wasn't there, it rocked us, because we knew something was wrong. No text, no email, no return phone call. The concern that went to the office was visible, and it meant a lot to all of us that we could rally together as a family. So let me highlight a few of Vicki's accomplishments in the industry, because I don't have an hour, but I'll make it brief. So, you know, Vicki started as a pup. She was in production. She hand-packed sticks. She worked in just about every facet of our company in the old building downtown, where that was a tough day at the office. And she kept showing up. So soon enough, she was our scheduler and purchasing person, which is one of those jobs is daunting enough, and she was doing both and doing them very well. As we continued to grow, Vicki took on the role as our purchasing agent, and we're talking about purchasing materials and packaging for 20 million pounds of candy at the time. That's a big job. Supply chain, contracting, everything else. You're thinking, okay, we're good, you've been here, you're doing a great job. No, I'm bored, I need something more to do. So 2006, something like that, I asked her if she wanted to be in sales. Sure, I don't know anything about it. Sure. So not to have it be timid, we jumped in and gave her our second biggest account. Off she goes, dealing with Weston Family, which was a significant account for us. And we decided we needed to make a road trip out to their headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. And it was clearly fated the minute we turned left on the Sandberg Road to get to their headquarters. it was meant to be. So she did such a good job that in 2009, the rest of the sales team voted her salesperson of the year. Our business kept growing, the complexity grew, and so did Vicki. Vicki kept growing into her job to where we asked her to be our director of supply chain. So not only was she doing purchasing, but she did all of our warehouse management, all of our logistics support, and transitioned to continuing to work for a different account, which was also our second largest account. A remarkable, tireless woman. When the announcement went out in mid-April, the tributes came pouring in, so let me read a few of them. One of our local suppliers, she was a great, devoted employee. We can all use more Vickies in our world. One of her favorite suppliers from Georgia, because she had really national reach. So sorry for the loss of Mrs. Vicki. She was truly a special person, and she will be greatly missed by all. Our biggest account, the word went through that organization. Our thoughts are with her family and the Sweets team. I know she was such a huge part of the family. And just one last thing, and then I'll wrap here, but there's an association, the Association of American Candy Technologists, and they have an annual conference, and it's already been confirmed that at this year's conference, Vicki's name will be read as one of the legends that was lost this year. So, sorry for your loss. We miss you.
Vicki's other family will be interested to know that we didn't know she was ever salesperson of the year. She never told us. That's Vicki. We so love that all of you are here, and we want to hear what's on your heart. What you knew about this girl, how you loved her, the difference she made in your life. We have a few minutes, half hour, 45 minutes or so to do that. So the rule is, don't let this microphone rest. If there are any of you who cannot come to the microphone, either because you're unable physically or just too shy, but you'd like to say something, raise your hand, and we have a rolling mic that I will now go get the funeral director to make sure it's working, and we'll make the mic come to you, okay? But if you can come up here, don't be chicken. This is where you get to be on Zoom. Anybody who talks in the audience without, with the other mic won't be on the camera. That probably gave you double incentive to stay in your seat, but don't be bashful, all right? We are so looking forward as a family to hear what you have to say. Rick, what you just shared means so much to us because we knew so little of it. I suspect that's going to continue for the next few minutes, so the time is now yours. Please come one, come all. Share, you can stage in the chairs up here 2 or 3 at a time, so you can just keep clipping along there if you'd like to. And everyone, and we do mean everyone, is invited. Please come on up. He reads my mind.
I'm just going to turn that microphone on.
Carla's going to run this mic for us. All right, who's first? Let me be brave. Let's go.
I'll be hot, just really quick. I am Wayne's sister. I'm this sweetheart's sister-in-law. And I'm really glad that you chose to be here today. I made some arrangements in my work schedule to be here. And I didn't have the privilege of knowing Vicki when she was on this planet. But I know this beautiful woman, and a lot of the things that you said over the pulpit, Christy, I felt like I could say, Christy, that's you. And sweetheart, I don't know you either, but I know her. I had the privilege of living with her for 45 days recently. And I love these events because they speak so deeply of what matters most in life. And so even if I don't know her, I'm blessed to be here. And Christy and the rest of your family, just blessings to you as you grieve and know that she's transitioned to, they say it's an amazing place, but I don't know, this is kind of amazing here, so we'll see. But now it's your turn to be hot on the mic. So, don't be shy.
While Larry's coming up, guys, again, if you know you want to share, a couple of you can come and sit in these chairs and save the long walk, okay?
My name is Larry Clark, and I am Vicki's uncle, Dolores' sister. And I'm probably the third person in the room right now left that knew her first. And I remember how proud those two were when they brought Vicki home from the hospital. And Jim, especially, Big Jim, as soon as she was about big enough, I think 8, 9 months old, he went and bought her a stroller, baby stroller, and got a great big license plate put on it. And I was the motor for her stroller. I think I was about 11 or 12 years old, maybe 13. But I wore out a set of gym shoes and a stroller that whole summer, pushing her up and down my parents' driveway, which is about 200 feet long and it was paved. So the thing I remember the most is every time I'd go up and make that turn, she would just laugh. She would just go crazy with laughter, and I'll never forget it, because she could laugh like nobody else, especially when she was kids that old. It's just exciting, it was for me. And then, as we got older, teenagers, they came back from, I think it was Altona, Illinois, is that where you were? Iowa, yeah. They moved back to Utah, and we had motorcycles, Jim and Loris and Vicki, and the sisters and brothers. We all used to get on those motorcycles and go out by Vernon Reservoir and ride for hours. And they had a great time, and you know, we had 2 kids, 3 kids on a motorcycle sometimes, but we had a great time. But I've always enjoyed being around Vicki because she was, just like you said, take charge person. And we've got another one, Valerie, is the same way on the other side of the family. Yeah, but I really enjoyed that about him because if you needed to know something about a person, that's who I'd like to call is Vicki. And she always had the answer, or she'd find and get back to me. So, but she was a great girl, and I think I'll miss her as much as anybody.
I'm Vicki's cousin Val. My mom, Rhea, is Dolores' sister and Larry and Arnold's sister, and she was the eldest, and I'm the eldest in my family, the eldest of the cousins. So Vicki and Val, we were the 2 oldest growing up, and we had so many fun times going to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and you know, for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And our biggest and greatest moment was when we were big enough to get out of the little kids' table, and we left our siblings at the little kids' table, and we got to go eat at the adult table. We knew we were grown-ups then, you know, and that was pretty special. My cousin Vicki was just a beautiful, beautiful person, and as well as her 2 sisters. I looked up to them, and just like Andy and everybody said, what a great fashion style and sense she had. I seriously thought my cousins were like models. They were so pretty and just beautiful girls. I remember once, I don't even remember when it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Vicki, but she showed up to, I think it was a Christmas party at Grandma and Grandpa's house, and I think she had this white furry jacket on. Maybe it was like real rabbit, I'm not sure. But she just looked like an absolute model that day, and I thought, wow, beautiful. And I know that she loves her family so much, and was just so there for every member of her family. She was a beautiful daughter, and took good care of her parents, and a beautiful older sister, and took great care of her younger sister and her brother, and that she loved her husband very, very much. And I know that this is not the end, you guys, that her love is going to continue on. She's going to watch over you guys the rest of your lives until we're all together again. Right now I know she's in heaven. She is free from pain. She is probably lighting it up there, and everybody's listening to Brick House and these fun songs. And so I think that's great, because I think we should definitely have music on the other side, and I love music. And I thought this was a very fun idea. I'll probably have some turbans in mine, and then I'm going to want a little Pat Benatar thrown out there, because I am obsessed with the Queen Pat. But, which you guys may not have known that, and that's all right. But I know right now she's in heaven, and she's with Grandma and Grandpa. Grandpa's telling her lots of tall tales. She's having lunch with Grandma, and my mom's there, and my mother, as good as she is probably talking Vicki's ear off, because she hasn't seen her in a long time. And so she's going to be looking out, well, after people still in heaven and other people that she loves. And I know that your love will continue on, Andy, and that you're going to feel her presence in your life still, and all of you will. And I just want to, I'm grateful that we were able to get together today. I'm grateful we were able to celebrate her life as family and friends. And I know how much she loved her job, and everybody at Sweets too. I always joked about she should be the vice president of that company. So Sweets, you could put her at that in memoriam afterwards, or whatever that's called. But you know, but I'm impressed with all the wonderful things that she did in her life and all the accomplishments that she had. And you can just feel all the love in everybody's life that she touched here, and the many stories and things that have been shared. And I hope that the rest of you will share some more stories so we can learn more about Vicki too in her life. And this I say, and whatever, I'm certain religious, so in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. So.
Hi everybody, my name is Kelly, and I am Vicki's cousin. I'm Larry's daughter.
And so I just feel really grateful to be here and see my beautiful side of the family who I haven't seen in a long time. Just to kind of echo what Val said, these guys were cool. They wore the coolest Levi's and they always had the latest outfits, and I got their hand-me-downs, which I loved so much. But it seems like I spent a lot of time with you guys in the summer, and Vicki was quite a bit older. She was always the cool teenager who could drive and have boyfriends and talked on the phone. And the things I remember most about spending time with my cousins is they used to rub themselves down with Crisco and lay out on the deck and suntan. And they're a lot more dark complected than I am, as you can tell, so that usually would end in a sunburn for me. I have this feeling, though, that a lot of things trickle down, right, from the oldest to the youngest, and I think there's probably some things I have to thank Vicki for, if I'm guessing, like smother time. Did that come from Vicki? Does anyone know what smother time is? They used to do this thing randomly, where they would say, smother time, and pin you to the ground and cover your head with a pillow till you almost die. And you'd have to kind of like tap out. No, like, really, I'm dying. Okay, stop. I'm pretty sure. Did that come from you, Jim, or did it come from Vicki?
I think he started it.
Oh, it was your dad. It was Uncle Jim. Okay. Even though it was scary, it's still a fun memory that I had. I also have really fun memories of just playing, like making up stuff, like memories of getting Aunt Dee's high heels out of the closet and walking around in nightgowns, and just lots of fun with you guys. And Vicki was always kind, even though she was older and probably didn't really care what we were doing. She always still made a point to say hi and ask me how I was doing, and I just thought she was the best. So I'm really sorry for your loss. I know it's got to be hard. I'm just glad that I could be with you today and let you know how much I love you all. So.
Wow. This is going to be hard. My name is John. I'm Andy's younger brother. Sorry guys, I'm a ball baby. Congratulations, I would have to say congratulations to the 40 years. That Andy and Vicki have been married. Most of us only make it to, nowadays, people only make it to 2 weeks, right? Vicki was an awesome sister-in-law, great wife to my brother. We love her. We love her very much. We love her family. They're part of our family. My heart hurts because we're going through what we're going through. She's been great to. She's been an excellent aunt to my 2 daughters as we were growing up. She's been a great sister-in-law. She's very ambitious person. When her and Andy started dating way back when Vicki was 18 years old, at that time, I don't remember how old I was just a young kid. I ran into her over by Liberty, 7-Eleven by Liberty Park. And they'd been dating for quite some time, and I was in there buying, I don't know if you guys remember the nachos for 99 cents and Fritos for 99 cents. I was in there and she kept walking in and I was looking at her. Hey, I know you. She looks over at me. She goes, who are you? I go, I'm Andy's younger brother. She says hi and then turn around and walk off. It's what it is, right? I wasn't offended. But, you know, she's always been great to us, and again, my heart hurts for our family and all of her friends. And we very much appreciate the support that she has and has had in the past. And I'm sure she loves each and every one of you. She will never be forgotten. She'll always be in our prayers. Thanks.
Okay, I'm George. I'm Annie's brother, her sister-in-law. I'm not going to cry. I cried all week. So the best times that I had with Vicki and Andy and Sandbergs, I mean, it was just awesome. Okay, 2 words. Lay pal. Okay. The best time, it was great. I mean, my brother just went far and beyond for her nieces, Sky, Brooke, my stepkids, baby, Christian. They all grew up together. Best time ever. Now they're grown. They have their own families. But they remember all of these great memories of Vicki. She was just a giver. And I mean, I love my brother and always will. Sandberg family, I always love you, of course. From what I hear, I'm the jokester of the family. I don't know where that came from. Okay. John and Donette, stay healthy. Everybody stay healthy. I mean, tomorrow's never promised. What I'm really going to miss. Okay, on Christmas, this goes to Sweet Candy Company, you guys. She always asks me, George, what do you want for Christmas? I go, chocolate-covered raisins. She always got them for me. Okay, so now somebody's going to have to step up over there. I still want them. And I remember Vicki every day because I am a driver for Mortensen Construction. I drive right almost every week through Sweet Candy Company on California Avenue. Every time I look over there, I think about her. Anderson Mortuary, beautiful. Sanders, you did a great job. Wayne, congratulations. It's a great obituary that you guys put out. Okay. I love you all. Andy, I love you. You know, your family, and like that song said, we are family. We really are. Okay.
What about me? You love me?
Kind of, sort of. I call him, but he never calls back. He calls me the next day. What do you want? I go, well, it's too late now. But I love all you guys. The support for Vicki is phenomenal. You know, just keep her memories alive and just stay healthy. And just one more note, this is 40 years of happiness. Best time ever.
This is a really sad occasion. I've worked with Vicki at Sweet Candy Company for 18 plus years. We were all a family. I wish the circumstances were different, but I'm truly honored to have gotten to know the Sandberg family really well over the last few weeks, the last couple months. And the Negrette family, it's great to hear from all of you. George, you're not the only jokester, I'm going to get to that. And of course, a family of friends, many of which are here, and of course, her Sweet Candy family. They will always, I mean, she was there 10 hours a day, 50, 60 hours a week for 41 years, but who's counting? So it's great to see you all here. As many of you already expressed, it's family first, right? Because her friends, her family first, no matter what.
So we really lost an awesome friend, a colleague, a loved one, sister, brother, in-law. But I'll be really thankful for the memories that Vicki has left with us. Forever. I'll always have memories of the fun times we've had. She was, as we all know, everybody's heard about her talents, right? She loved boating. I'm sure she got to be captain once in a while, right? She was a great coach. She loved to entertain.
All the time.
She did all. She was an athlete. She was like the perfect wife and woman in all of our eyes, right? That fun attitude also carried through to work. So, Rick talked about her accomplishments. I'm sure Tony would have. I mean, she was just amazing work. She was loved by everybody at work, and she was part of the family. Everybody considered her part of her work family. And there's not one person that she's ever met or worked with at Sweet Candy Company at any level that didn't absolutely adore her for good reason. That fun attitude that she has that all of you described, that came into work. Usually I took the blame for it, but I just want you to know that Vicki was behind the scenes, a partner in many crimes that have been committed in Sweet Candy Company. Tony's just smiling in his room, please don't go there. But I am. Rick's saying the same thing, don't go there, but I will. So Vicki worked upstairs. So upstairs with the executive level. So Tony was up there, Rachel was up there, Rick was there. The people that run the company, right? So she had to keep a low profile. She had to make sure to stay under the radar any plans that were being made to celebrate our coworkers in honor of a birthday or a retirement. But she was always behind the scenes, always cheering us on, giving ideas. And without her, these celebrations would never have happened. And we wouldn't have these fun memories. She really made work fun. I mean, not only was she just awesome, and could do anything, and could sell anything. I mean, in procurement, she did everything, purchasing, but also on the friend level. And she liked, like George, she was a youngster. She liked to come up with fun things to do at work to make, our work life more enjoyable. Retirement events were the best. We had Marilyn Monroe one time for Jim's retirement. He was in quality assurance. We had a homeless person, comedian, an elderly comedian come in. I don't know if any of you remember this story, who came in, got around all of our security, and pretended to just start taking food off of the buffet. I don't know if you remember this, but Tony's going, oh no, yes, I remember that. And there were some other people who played. Cindy, I think you were involved too, as far as making sure that you called in the intercom that there was an invader, there was somebody that got past security and was heading toward, in your lunchroom, and it was a problem, right? Remember that day? So, and then she proceeded to give a well-deserved roast for the person that was retiring. And then there were belly dancers also. We had at Craig's retirement, there were belly dancers that showed up. And then we ended up singing my favorite things with kind of unique verses. She was just a riot, right? She just made work so much fun. And then there was one thing that was planned that we probably regretted, and that has to do with Rick's car.
I knew that.
I don't know why this group of people thought it was a good idea, and I don't even remember what the occasion was, Rick. Maybe, I'm not sure it's your birthday, I think it was April Fool's or something. It was decided that, with Vicki, of course, involved, and a couple other people, that we would have his car towed out of the parking lot and around the corner. And we thought, oh, this will be really fun. Rick will just think this is just a riot. And so we had people, all over the company looking out windows and stuff to see how Rick would react. So he came back in, and we just weren't sure because he was out there for a while, and he ended up coming in. And thankfully, for us, for a little while, he didn't care a thing about his car getting stolen. It was the expensive golf clubs in the back he cared about. So that's what got us in the most trouble, was the golf clubs. Then he decided, okay, we better tone it down for a while. But we lost the most hardworking, fun-loving, colleague, friend, and loved one. My fondest memories of work were with Vicki. I spent every day with her. You know, we'd have lunch, or go out for lunch, or plan fun things to do until HR caught up with us. But just all those fun memories. I'll never forget the times we had at Sweet Candy Company. I was always with Vicki. So I miss her a lot. Thank you all for being here. It was great to meet all of you and friends.
Hi, I'm Brian Wixom, Cindy's significant other. And I met the family 23 years ago, roughly. And we all had a dinner at Cindy's house. And they had these fancy dinners and fancy everything and just unbelievable parties. And I'm like, man, these guys are incredible. But I just wrote down a few things. Vicki had such a close bond with her husband Andy and her sisters, her mother, her dad, Jim, all of the surrounding people around her. And a lot of people say she was her generosity, like for an example, I believe she bought braces for some of these kids, and she did things behind the scenes just to help everyone out. Every Friday, she would show up and bring her mother dinner. And then she would have these amazing Halloween parties, Christmas, we'd all have Christmas parties, her mother's 80th birthday party, the parties we had at Andy's and Vicki's house, and spending, I was always late because I was out golfing, but these guys would have amazing parties at the pool. Just have a great time. And some of the memories that I have, like for an example, Vicki and Andy would come down to Las Vegas where her mother was living at the time, and they were driving this like alien vehicle. It's called the man truck. It's one of those monster type trucks, So they would be cruising through Las Vegas, and we would go out to we'd go out to the casinos and go to the restaurants and hit our night on the town and just have some amazing times. And then other times, for an example, some of the best times that I had with this wonderful family is one time we were at Jordanelle. They've got this big gigantic boat, and Andy had this playlist that was to die for. It was like incredible music, and we danced, remember that, Christy, all night long. I can even remember there was some drunk guy that jumped in the water and hit his head on that. It was just an amazing time. Dancing all night long on the lake with blaring music. And so even though I met him 23 years ago, I actually encountered him back in the 80s. And we were all talking, and I was jet skiing, and I was a wild child at the time, and they were having a big party by the bonfire, and I ended up putting an ice cream bucket on my head and jumping into the fire. And anyway, we confirmed stories. They were right there all partying, having fun at Lake Powell, and I ran into them before I even met them, way back in '85. But anyway, turn the clock back to 23 years, then I finally met them, and then here I am now, so it's kind of like the hot tub time machine. But anyway, she's, she was a fighter during the hospital and everything, I tried to get closer to her, and for an example, I'm like, what channel would you like to watch? And I turned it, and The Bachelor came on, and then I tried to hold her hand, and she says, oh my God! But she was just such a wonderful person, and I'm so grateful to be a part of Andy and the family. I'm grateful to be a part of everyone's life, and I'm just going to tell you a story really quick. When my mom's dad died, he was going to his sister's funeral,
And he all of a sudden said, "They're here to get me." And then he died right then. But he said their name before he went. So in other words, his loved ones were coming to get him. And so I'm sure that she's in heaven right now with her loved ones. You'll all be together again. So we love you guys. And they got a strong bond that will stay together forever. And I was just going to say that angels will surround the family. She'll be with you in spirit, and she's going to comfort you in your time of, having a tough time. But let's just remember the good times, like partying with Vicki. Like, let's go to Lake Powell. Let's have an annual Lake Powell. Oh, yeah. Oh, Wayne was saying if anybody wanted to later on go, I tried to get a place at the golf course, and they were closed today. But at R&R Barbecue, there's kind of like an after-hour celebration of life, and it's food's on us. So just come down and have some barbecue, just like Andy and Vicki would do. So it's just down the street after.
Is there anyone else who would like to share anything before we wrap this up? I thought I was a newcomer, Brian. You got me beat. I've only been here 25 years. And I want to tell a couple of very quick stories. The first one was the day I met Vicki. And Christy was working for our company and had gone through this leadership training course and had invited her sisters to her graduation. I'd never met her sisters, and she was busy, and she said, "Would you please find my sisters and help them get a seat?" And I thought, how am I supposed to find this girl's sisters? I don't know them. And so I'm wandering the halls of this place, and it was summertime. And of course, knowing Christy and having had some sense of her, I walked around the corner, and these two women went breezing by me in their summer dresses and high-heeled sandals, and I just watched them move, and I thought, those are Christy's sisters. And I knew instantly who they were because they are so much alike, and they have this regal bearing, that they carry themselves in just a certain way. And Vicki had that, it was unpretentious too. It wasn't a flaunted thing at all. It was so real and so natural and so her. Christy admitted one cute story I have to tell, and I can't tell as well as she can as a man, but she tells a story about following Vicki up a staircase when she was a little girl. And you can imagine, big teenage Vicki and little skinny Christy. And Vicki's walking up the stairway, and she pauses halfway up in her cutoffs with her hips sticking out, and turns around and looks at Christy and goes, and then continues walking up the stairs. And the wonderful thing about Vicki was that you knew she almost believed that, but not completely. And that drop of humility was what made her what she was. Just that little teeny vacancy of not thinking she was quite all that, but pretty much pulling it off. It was a beautiful thing. And she did that, as you've all eloquently shared, in every aspect of her life. A few days ago, as we were working on the details of this event, I got a poem from a friend of mine that instantly I knew it was for Vicki. And it's a poem that was written by, I'll see it in a minute here. I have a little bit of a brain cramp. Walt Whitman, the famous poet Walt Whitman. It's called Song of the Open Road, and rather than read it, I'm going to share it with you in the voice of the person that comes across in this YouTube video. I'd like you to think, as you hear these amazing words, about young Vicki, 18 years old, starting out in life with Andy, starting out in life with Sweet Candy Company, going out on the open road, seeking her freedom in life, her path in life, her contribution to life and all that it had the possibility of being. And then it talks at the end about her delicious burdens and the relationship that she formed with them. It's very brief. This is Song of the Open Road by Walt Whitman.
Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me leading wherever I choose. Henceforth I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing, done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Strong and content, I travel the open road. The earth, that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Still here I carry my old delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them, and I will fill them in return.
It occurs to me that each of us was one of Vicki's delicious burdens. She gladly assumed the load that relationships entailed. She leaned into the work. She gave her whole heart. She served selflessly. She took joy in our joy. And she reduced anyone's pain that she came in contact with because of the strength of her person, of her character, of her heart. I want to pay tribute to her whole family, but I want to especially pay tribute at this moment to Christy and Cindy. Yesterday morning, this figurine showed up at our house in the form of a gift for Christy from my side of the family. It's three sisters. Vicki the oldest, Cindy in the middle, Christy the little one. Christy opened it and looked at it for a moment, and then it hit her what significance was. Christy's like her big sister in that she doesn't cry a lot. I don't think I've ever seen my wife cry harder. Tears were dripping and streaming from her eyes. Especially when she saw they were doing the little one's hair, but then she realized it was in reverse yesterday because these two girls came here yesterday and did their sister's hair in preparation for this service today, which was probably the hardest thing Christy has ever done. She does not get that close to death if she can help it. And so that was a labor of love for their big sister whom they loved. I want to wrap this up by sharing a song with you for as though this were Vicki singing to the two of you. And I believe that this is what Vicki would say in part if she were here today to speak for herself. At the end of this song, we will finish up here. I'm sure there are people who are much faster on these keyboards than I am. Mike, to your point. think I can say with a little bit of confidence that no sister was ever better taken care of than Vicki was as she neared her end. It was day and night, an effort that was extraordinary. It was a beautiful thing. Jim, you talked about lightning bugs and fireflies. The strange thing about coming into the Sandberg family, not being born there, is that you will never be a lightning bug. You will always be a firefly. There's just them and there's us. And I'll tell you, if you ever crossed Vicki, there was no coming back. Those bridges got burned. So I think we've all spoken to her character and who she was. And thank you so much for being here. We'd like, as a family, to thank the funeral home and all that they've done. Vicki's passing was pretty gruesome, and it took a toll on her body. I was so pleased when I walked into that room today and saw how she looks. She looks at peace. She looks radiant. She looks beautiful. She looks elegant. She looks like Vicki. And she looks like she's ready to go home. All too soon. The rest of us will be with her again. That is my confidence. I express my love for this family and my gratitude for being part of you. Mom has been living with us for the last year, and it's been such a joy to have her. Her name is Dolores. For those of you who don't know, she goes by Dee. Every morning she gets up and looks out over the golf course in our backyard and says, "Oh, isn't it just something that we have to endure another day like this? Can you imagine how beautiful that is out there?" So I've come to call her delightful because she is. And it's such a privilege to have her in our home and to be part of this family. And to close my part, I'd like to say that I leave this with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. We are going to, as Brian said, continue the party at R&R Barbecue, is it? Is it east or west of here? Can you give us a hint?
Just on the same road down there.
West toward the freeway.
West towards the
Okay, so R&R.
It's like Traverse. Yeah.
Okay, down by Traverse, Cabela's, all that stuff, right? You'll find it. Google it, it's best than always tell. And then the family, we'd like to thank the Sweet Company for all the refreshments out there. It is legal today to fill your pockets because we really don't want to take it home, so stuff your pockets as you're going out. And thank you, Sweet Company, for your generosity. We are going to have a family casket closing right after this, so in just a moment, we will, if you can tee up that original playlist again, Val, please. We are going to have everybody stand. The family will go through those doors into the room, and any family members who want to join us. And we will close those doors at that time. We will dismiss the rest of you to move to the party, and we will see you there in 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so, okay? So thank you all again for coming. Thanks also those at all of the care centers and hospitals where Vicki was, who took such good care of her and fought with us to save her life. And what a life it was. Thank you for being here.